Commission presents Breach of Copyright, the story of St Columba, a play written by Colm Flanagan to celebrate the founding of the Iona community. Breach of Copyright.
If you're reading any book today, whether a paper book or a digital one, as soon as you open it, you'll come to the page where the book's publisher has a copyright statement. It will read something like, "No part of this book may be reproduced in any form without prior notice to the publisher," and so on. Sometimes it can be quite a long statement, and there's a warning of legal action. Failure to comply is what we know as breach of copyright and can lead to considerable penalties. But hundreds of years ago, in the 7th century, a case of breach of copyright led to a war, a bloody battle, and exile for one man. The book was the Bible, and the man was the person now called Saint Columba, or Columkill, which means column of the church. And the breach led to the founding of a famous monastery on a Scottish island called Iona. But the story begins here in Ireland, at a monastery in today's County Down in Northern Ireland. And two friends are at the heart of the story.
Brother Colm, it's so good to see you. I wondered when you'd arrive since I got your message. How long can you stay with us? You're very welcome to Movilla Abbey.
Finian, it's great to see you too. It's been quite a long journey here, and I may stay a while, as long as you can put up with me. I can't think of a better place for prayer and reflection as here.
And that's fine by me, Colm. Stay as long as you like with my blessing. Are you hungry? Oh, I'm sure you are. So let's go and get something to eat. How goes it at Kells? It's been a long time since I heard anything about Brother Dermot and some of the others.
So Colm stayed at Movilla. The monastery was not one of the biggest in Ireland, nor particularly famous, but at the time when Finian was its abbot, it contained something very precious indeed. During his travels in Europe, Finian had acquired a copy of St. Jerome Vulgate, one of the best Bible translations of the day. This was the only copy in the whole of Ireland, and Finian was very proud of it, for he, like many, was devoted to books and scholarship.
So you'd like to study the Gospels in depth, Colm? That's great. And as you know, I have the best translation here.
Might I borrow it from time to time?
Of course. I'm very happy for you to use it. After all, the Word of God is important, and we must study what our Lord said while on earth. It's the centre of our faith. But I don't need to tell you that. Feel free to use it as much as you like, Colm. It stays here in the library. Please don't take it out of its place.
Thanks very much, Brother Finian. May God bless you for generosity.
So Colm began his studies, but he decided to make a copy of the translation, and he did not tell Finian anything about it. Then one evening, as he worked alone in the library,
"Now, on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb."
Brother, are you still here? It's getting late. I wondered if you wished to join us for late evening worship. Anyway, the light is fading and you should rest your eyes. What are you studying, brother?
Oh, I wasn't expecting you. I'm looking at the passage where Mary goes to the...
What's that parchment? Brother Colm, you're making a copy.
Well, I need to make notes.
But this isn't notes. You're making a copy of the sacred word. I cannot allow that.
Why not?
What do you mean, brother? This is my copy of the word. And I say no copies are to be made. Everyone knows that. Copying isn't right, brother, and you know it.
But surely, Brother Finian, the sacred word should be sent forth and be there for all to read. It was given and inspired for all mankind.
Yes, but not like this.
No one should withhold the word from others.
Oh, clever words. But you're copying my most treasured possession without my leave, in secret. You know that is wrong.
Not at all. There's no law that prohibits copying a book.
Then we both know the law is beside the point. It is mine, and I have a right to grant or not grant permission to copy.
If you had written it, I might agree, but this word was inspired by God. You didn't write it.
I travelled many miles to acquire this Bible. I insist you give me the copy you are making. At once.
No.
Then I will have to call the brothers to come and ensure you do not leave this place with it.
You would use force.
I will do what I must to retain the book. I will take it to the High King.
Very well. I agree to that.
And my Bible will remain here till then. Do you agree?
Reluctantly, yes. I have no option. But guard it well, Brother Finian. I'll be back to complete my copying. You can be sure of that.
The argument over the copy ended the friendship of the two men. They journeyed to Tara, seat of the High King of Ireland. His name was Diarmaid, and he agreed that each man would put his point of view in his court. So they prepared their cases, and soon all was ready.
Right, I'm now ready to hear your arguments. Though I find it strange to see two supposed Christians, brothers in Christ, so opposed. You may begin.
Your Majesty, it is absolutely vital that no one be allowed to hinder the
Stop!
spread
Enough! Enough! Quit this unseemly gabbling. You sound like two dogs barking. I'm not listening to this. One at a time. Finian, begin.
Your Majesty, I must protest. It is I who have been wronged.
Calm and silence. Otherwise I will command you to leave and the case will go to Finian by default. If you cannot keep quiet until your turn, then leave now. Well?
Very well, Your Majesty. I will not interrupt Finian, though his words are gall to me.
Quite. Finian.
Your Majesty, some weeks ago Colm came to my monastery at Movilla. I greeted him as a friend should. We worshipped together every day in our chapel. I have a copy of the Bible, Your Majesty, written in the hand of the noble Saint Jerome himself. I had travelled many long and arduous miles to acquire this sacred text. It cost me much time and money. I kept it close through the long journey home, and under my pillow at night when I slept. I was loath to let anyone else read it. I also had a pouch...
Oh, yes, Finian, I understand. What happened next?
As I said, Your Majesty, Colm was staying with me. He asked me to allow him to study the text, and as we were close friends, I agreed, with the proviso that he must not take it outside the library. I noticed that every evening, after dinner, he went into the library and wasn't seen for a long time. But I knew how serious a student of the word he was, and I didn't pry.
But eventually you did.
I felt he was overdoing it. And one evening I called into the room to ask if he would stop studying and join us for evening prayers. It was then that I found out he had been copying my book. I was horrified. There, in my own library, within the bounds of my abbey. I had given him no leave to do such a thing. He knew how precious the book was. I challenged him as to why he was doing this.
And I gave you an answer. You shouldn't hinder the spread of the gospel.
Silence, Colm. I will not say that again. Finian, continue.
Thank you, Your Majesty. He gave me no good reason for his action. I asked him to give me the copy he had made. He refused, and to avoid using force, I came to you, Your Majesty, for a ruling. The copy belongs to me, and I have the right to decide its use. I know that you will judge fairly.
Oh, no doubt you do, Finian. Colm, you have heard what Finian has said. What do you say in response?
Your Majesty, I cannot deny the facts of the case. I did indeed stay with Finian, and I did copy the words of the Bible in his possession. But I deny that this was a breach of hospitality and that he has the right to refuse copies to be made. The Bible, in whatever form, belongs to us all, and it should not be kept locked away, but be open and available to all. This is at the heart of our Christian gospel. The good news cannot be hidden away. Finian would deny this.
I most certainly do.
But you don't practice what you preach then. We must share the Bible, for how then will others know accurately what it says? Your Majesty, this is the crux of the matter. The faith cannot be spread without the freedom to access the Holy Bible.
And maybe less arguing about it too. You say that you do not deny the facts of the case, Colm.
No, Your Majesty, I do not. I did make the copy.
You asked Finian for permission and he refused.
Well, no, I made the copy without asking him.
I see. Yet he owned the Bible.
It cannot be owned by any one man, Your Majesty. It must be free to be copied.
This, then, is my judgment. At the heart of it is a simple question. I judge that a copy of any book, including the Holy Bible, is as a young child to a mother. One begets the other. To every cow her calf, and to every book her copy. The copy belongs to Finian. Colm, you've no rights to it.
I cannot accept that, Your Majesty.
Accept it or not, you must obey my ruling. You agreed. I've made my decision. You may leave now. See, it is done.
But Colm was not prepared to bow to the High King's decision. He was a friend of the King of Ulster and immediately went to him. The Ulster King agreed with Colm and prepared to go to war over the matter. The armies of the High King and of Ulster met in a battle at Coolladrumman, near the present-day town of Sligo in northwest Ireland. The battle was a ferocious one, and the High King Diarmid was defeated. The casualties were high. When news of this reached Columba, he was conscience-stricken.
3,000 killed and many more wounded? I had no desire for this bloodshed, yet I'm responsible. I should never have stirred the O'Neills to fight on my behalf. God's work can't be done that way. Oh, why didn't I listen to my conscience? It was the Lord speaking to me and I ignored it. But now, what can I do to atone?
Colm prayed and fasted, but could not find peace. One day, as he was in the garden praying, he heard a voice he recognised.
Brother Colm, I would speak with you.
Molay, it is you, my old friend. What brings you here in such a hurry?
I have sad news for you. The leaders of our church have decided that you are to blame for the deaths at Coolnadrumman.
I already know that, Molay. I was so wrong in what I did. I know that God can forgive me, but I can't forgive myself.
I understand. But I asked the leaders to allow me to speak with you about a way for you to show penitence. And just last night, I had a vision of the Lord. He showed me a way.
What? What did he say to you, Molay?
You must leave Ireland. For good. You must settle somewhere where Ireland cannot be seen.
Exile?
Yes. And no.
What do you mean?
Well, I believe the Lord intends that you will be able to save as many people and thousands more than were slain at the battle.
But to leave the place I love?
Yes, you must. Travel northwards and sail until you can no longer see the hills of Ireland from even the highest point on the islands where you land. There you must stop and begin your mission. This is your penance, Colm. If you do not do this, you will never have the peace of mind you desire so much.
And so it came about that some weeks later, Colm and 12 companions were standing on a beach near Howth, just north of Dublin. Their curragh boat made of skins had been readied for a long voyage. For Colm, this was a sad moment. He was leaving the land of his birth forever. A foolish argument which spiralled out of control and resulted in deaths and an uncertain future.
Well, my friend, here we must part. The boat is ready.
Where will you go, Colm?
God will guide us, Finn, I'm sure. But first we must sail northwards, past Bangor and then north to the islands. I know that somewhere is ready for us.
Sir, we should be leaving. The wind is set fair for the north and the tides are right.
Very well, I'll come now. Goodbye, Finn. Perhaps this moment will be the start of something new and wonderful.
Goodbye, Colm. Despite all that has happened, Ireland is the poorer for your leaving.
And so the Curragh sailed northwards, past the bays and headlands of eastern Ireland. It entered the narrow sea channel between Scotland and Ireland, passing the mouth of the Cuan Loch, where the vicious currents at its mouth were so fierce the later Vikings called it Strangford. Past the Mull of Kintyre and Tor Head, the last Irish landmark. They sailed on, past the Scottish coast, until they reached an island, where they hauled the boat up on a sandy beach. Here they rested, except for Colm, who had a journey to make.
Until you can no longer see Ireland.
Were you saying something to me, Brother Colm?
Oh, no, Michael, just a random thought.
You mentioned Ireland.
Yes, but I'll tell you more someday soon.
Where exactly are we going? You'd said a walk, but we seem to be climbing this hill.
Yes, we are. I have a decision to make at the top. And for now, I must keep it to myself.
As you wish, then. But we've been at sea for a long time, Brother Colm. How much longer must we sail north? We're all tired.
The sea air will do us all good, Michael. It's not been so very far. The great Brendan was at sea much longer than us and further away from any land. He sailed for 7 years.
Yes, that's all very well, but I don't think my stomach could take that long a journey. Our boat is small and we have few provisions. No chance of getting anything here. The place seems deserted. How far is it?
Nearly there now, at the top of the hill. What a view.
Yes. Why are you looking around?
I'll tell you soon. But no, it can't be here.
What can't? What are you looking for?
Come on, we must get back to the others. We'll spend the night here on the shore and then tomorrow sail on and tide and wind will carry us up north again.
Can you still not tell me anything, Brother Colm? I really would like to know.
Of course, Colm had been looking to the southwest, and there, on the horizon, he could see a dark blue line, the tips of the hills in Antrim. The journey must continue. So the next morning, the mystified crew set sail once more, course still north. The purple hills of Scotland were to their right, and up ahead stood a range of hills, the large island of Mull. The wind turned against them, and they had to row by day and rest by night as they passed by this island. Then they sailed westward through a narrow sound into the open sea again, turned north and eventually approached a headland which seemed to block their way. But as they came closer, they could see a gap, a narrow channel between the mainland and a small island to the west. They landed on the western side, at a small inlet, and once again, Colm and Michael took a walk.
Well, here we are, Brother Michael, once again at the top of the island. Just look around. This is it. We go no further.
Well, it is quite a stiff climb. Look how small our boat appears.
Indeed. But I mean, this is the end of our journey. Here, on this island of Iona. Do you know what the name means?
Well, I did, but just remind me.
It's the island of the yew tree. The island of transformation and rebirth. Here, I will enjoy the rebirth of my faith. Here, I know I am forgiven by God for my terrible sin and arrogance and the deaths that followed.
But how do you know this? Why here?
Look to the south and the west. Michael, what can you see?
I see the sea and the sky, the birds.
And what can you not see?
What? I don't understand.
Can you see any land?
No, except the island of Mull across the channel.
Precisely. You see, before I left Ireland, I was told that I must leave and sail on until I could no longer see the hills of Ireland. Each place we landed at, I climbed to the highest point. I can't see the Irish hills from here. So, I will make our new home on this island of Iona. Together, we'll begin a work of faith. Come, brother, let's go back to the boat. We'll sail round to the sheltered side of the island and land there.
This they did, and as the crew came ashore, they saw people coming towards them. Then a cry rang out.
Ah, Cousin Colm, well met. What brings you here to Iona?
Greetings in the Lord's name, Connell. I've much to tell you.
I'm sure this isn't just a pleasure cruise. Actually, you all look a bit worn out.
It has indeed been a difficult journey.
I did hear that you'd been exiled.
It is true, but there's more to it.
Well, you and your friends are welcome here. We will prepare some food and then you may rest. Tell me your story once you feel rested and restored.
Connell, leader of the community on Iona, granted Colm and his companions land, and a monastery was built, a centre for worship and outreach. The building was first of wattles and wood, later stone, and looked out eastward to the island of Mull and the Scottish mainland. One small private chapel from this era remains today. Soon members of the community spread into the mainland and even further south into present-day England. Later, some brothers brought the faith to parts of Europe. The Celtic Church expanded and had great influence on the wider church with its insistence on personal piety and the regard for the natural world, seeing God's hand in all its beauty. But as the centuries passed, the brotherhood dwindled. By the 1930s, the buildings were derelict. Yet Christians came once again to the island and rebuilt it. The abbey once again became the centre of the new Iona community. Colm himself died in the year 597, over 30 years after he'd arrived. If the reason for his arrival seems fanciful, and of course there are those who believe that the story of Finian's Bible is not factual, there can be no doubt that Columkill, Colm of the Church, came here, and the results of his coming are still celebrated by Christians to this day.
In Breach of Copyright, Colmkill, St Columba, was played by Mark Clanny. Finian was played by Drew Gibson, and King Dermot by Hugh Finlay. Other parts were played by members of the Commission drama team, and the play was recorded at Commission Studios in Belfast, Northern Ireland. The play was written and produced by Colm Flanagan.